friends! It's been a while since I've checked out Turbotax software, and I decided to do a new review for 2025. This year's edition you'd be using to do your 2024 taxes. Let's talk about some of the good things about Turbotax software. The first is their software is very slick, it's very pretty, it's very easy to use, and I have to admit some of their graphics are adorable. And if you have a simple return that qualifies for their free filing, you can get free federal and free state filing through TurboTax, but that only applies if you don't have very many forms on your tax return and nothing complicated. TurboTax no longer participates in the IRS free file system that allows people under a certain income level to file for free regardless of how many forms they have. They only offer their own version of free file. But you only qualify for that if you have a very simple return, basically with only things like W-2s. If you have anything else more complicated, including a 1099 NEC for gig work, then you must upgrade. As soon as you upgrade, it basically gets over $100 for federal and state combined. One thing that is nice about TurboTax is they do have a lot of methods for getting your forms directly from certain employers, from banks, from investment firms. But they seem to really push that feature, and I think it's because it seems fancy. But for many of these forms, if you click to type it in yourself, it is literally 1 or 2 boxes that you have to type in. And you're probably gonna type less by just entering it yourself as opposed to logging into your bank. For example, interest income from a bank is literally 1 box you have to fill in, as well as things like student loan interest. It's just 1 number you have to type. Why do we need to upload it? Which kind of leads me back to one of my complaints about TurboTax is they make it very pretty and user-friendly, but I do think that they really overcomplicate things. For example, when you're entering a W-2, which most of us are, they make you go through multiple screens to enter the W-2. It should not be this complicated. Sometimes I think they make it overly complicated so you feel like you're getting something for all the money that they're charging you. I did notice in this year's version they did change a couple things. One of the changes they made is you can just click 1 button and take the standard deduction instead of going through everything to see if you need to itemize. For the vast majority of Americans now with the current tax laws, the standard deduction is going to be your better option. So it's nice that you can bypass all of those questions if you want to. I did notice that TurboTax took away one feature that I really liked last time I looked at it. Now there is no way to preview your 1040 forms before you finish filing and pay them. Another thing that is nice about TurboTax is they do have a phone app that works really nicely with their desktop website. They're very well integrated and the phone app is pretty easy to use. Not all tax companies have a slick phone app like TurboTax does. Overall, I think TurboTax is a slick, nice looking piece of software to use, but I do think that it's slightly overcomplicated for what it needs to be. I also think it is wildly overpriced for anybody who actually needs to pay for it. If you fall into the category of people that can qualify for their totally free option, I think it's a great choice and I would definitely recommend it. But if you fall into the category of most people who are not going to qualify for that, I think there are better options for you for a better price. For a lot of people, I would recommend FreeTaxUSA, and that is what I've been using for myself for over 10 years. And I do have a separate review of FreeTaxUSA, so I'll include the link right here for you to go check that one out next.